My wife had her brother install hidden cameras in our bedroom because she was jealous of my female coworker, but that was just the beginning of her stalking and now she's facing criminal charges. I never thought I'd be sharing something like this on Reddit, but after yesterday's events, I really need to get this off my chest. I caught my brother-in-law Mike, 28 male, installing hidden cameras in our bedroom when I came home early from work. To give some background, I've been married to Andrea for 6 years now, and we dated for 3 years before that. We met through mutual friends at a college reunion, and everything clicked right away. She was funny, caring, and seemed to understand me perfectly. Our relationship moved pretty fast after that. Within a year of dating, we moved in together, and 2 years later, we got married. Everything was going great until about 6 months ago when Holly, 29 female, joined our company as the new project manager. I work as a senior software developer at a tech company, and Holly was brought in to manage our team after our previous manager, Tom, retired. Tom had been with the company for 30 years, and everyone was sad to see him go, but Holly seemed like a good replacement. She was professional, competent, and quickly earned the team's respect. From day one, though, Andrea seemed uncomfortable with Holly's presence in my work life. It started subtly at first. She would ask detailed questions about my interactions with Holly during meetings or team lunches. She wanted to know what we talked about, whether Holly was married, if she ever stayed late at work. At first, I thought she was just showing interest in my work life because I often talked about my projects and team members. But things started getting weird about 4 months ago. Andrea began checking my phone while I was in the shower. She would ask to see my work emails, claiming she was interested in the projects I was working on. She even started waking up early to make me breakfast, something she had never done before, just so she could see what time I left for work. I tried to reassure her that Holly was just a coworker and there was nothing going on between us. Holly is actually married with 2 kids, and her husband often drops by the office to have lunch with her. I even invited Andrea to our office parties so she could meet Holly herself, but she always refused, saying she didn't want to see how Holly looked at me. The one time she did attend an office party, 6 months ago when Holly first joined, she left early claiming she had a headache. Yesterday changed everything. I had a terrible migraine, probably from staring at code all day, and decided to leave work early. I didn't tell Andrea because I just wanted to get home and rest. When I walked into our bedroom, I found Mike standing on a chair, doing something near the ceiling fan. He froze when he saw me, and that's when I noticed he was holding what looked like a tiny camera. The moment our eyes met, I knew something was terribly wrong. Mike has been my brother-in-law for 6 years, and we've always gotten along well. We even play basketball together every weekend. But standing there, caught in the act, he looked like a completely different person. I lost it. I demanded to know what he was doing in our house and how he got in. He tried to play it cool at first, saying he was just fixing the fan because Andrea had mentioned it was making noise. But when I threatened to call the police, he broke down and admitted that Andrea had given him a spare key and asked him to install cameras in our bedroom and home office. I was stunned. Mike showed me 2 other cameras he had already installed, one hidden in our bedroom bookshelf, disguised as a small Bluetooth speaker, and another in the ceiling light fixture. He said Andrea had been planning this for weeks and had bought the cameras online. According to him, she was convinced that Holly and I were having an affair at work and wanted proof. I immediately called Andrea at work and told her to come home. While waiting, I made Mike remove all the cameras and documented everything with photos. He told me that Andrea had been increasingly paranoid about my relationship with Holly, constantly telling him that she had noticed changes in my behavior and needed to know the truth. When Andrea got home, she started crying and tried to justify her actions. She said she had seen how Holly looked at me during the office party 6 months ago, and since then, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was going on. She claimed she had noticed I was dressing better for work and staying late more often. The truth is, I had been working on a major project that needed to be completed before the end of the quarter. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My wife of 6 years had conspired with her brother to spy on me in our own bedroom. When I asked her if she had installed any other cameras before this, she wouldn't give me a straight answer. She just kept saying she had to protect our marriage. I checked our credit card statements and found several purchases from a surveillance equipment website going back 3 months. I packed some clothes and went to stay at my friend's place. Andrea has been calling and texting nonstop, switching between apologizing and accusing me of driving her to do this by being too friendly with Holly. Her family is also involved now, with her parents calling to tell me I'm overreacting and that Andrea only did this because she loves me so much. Her mother actually tried to convince me that in today's world, with so many marriages failing due to workplace affairs, Andrea's actions were understandable. I'm meeting with a lawyer tomorrow to understand my options. I don't think I can ever trust Andrea again. The thought that she might have been watching me in our bedroom for months makes me sick. I've also informed HR about the situation since Holly is indirectly involved, and I want to protect myself professionally. Right now, I'm staying at my friend's place and trying to process everything. I've blocked Andrea's number because her constant switching between apologies and accusations was driving me crazy. I know her family thinks I'm being dramatic, but I can't imagine going back to a marriage where my privacy was violated so completely. Has anyone else dealt with something like this? How do you trust again after your spouse violates your privacy in such an extreme way? I feel like I don't even know who Andrea is anymore. Update 1. A lot has happened since my last post. After meeting with the lawyer, I filed for divorce and had him send Andrea a cease and desist letter because she wouldn't stop showing up at my workplace. She had started coming to my office during lunch breaks, trying to talk to me in the parking lot, and even attempting to join our team meetings by claiming she had an appointment with HR. The letter only made things worse. She started telling everyone that I was pushing her away because I wanted to be with Holly. The truth came out in a way I didn't expect. Holly approached me at work last week, looking visibly shaken. She showed me dozens of threatening emails she had received from anonymous accounts over the past 3 months. The emails contained private details about Holly's daily routine, including what time she left for work, which gym she went to, and even where her daughter attended ballet classes. The most recent ones had become increasingly aggressive, warning Holly to stay away from me or face consequences. I recognized Andrea's writing style immediately. She has a particular way of using certain phrases that I've seen in her work emails. I took the emails to my lawyer, who advised me to file for a restraining order immediately. During the hearing last Tuesday, Andrea finally broke down and admitted that she had hired a private investigator to follow Holly 3 months ago. She had convinced herself that Holly and I were meeting secretly after work. The PI found nothing suspicious after weeks of surveillance, but Andrea wouldn't accept it. She said she had to take matters into her own hands because no one would believe her about Holly trying to steal her husband. What really shocked me was finding out that the cameras in our bedroom weren't the first ones. Andrea had previously installed a camera in my home office 6 months ago, hidden in a fake smoke detector. She had been watching my video calls with Holly and other female coworkers during our daily team meetings. She even recorded some of our private conversations about work projects, convinced that our technical discussions were actually code for planning meetups. The most disturbing part was discovering that Mike had helped her set up a sophisticated monitoring system that sent live feeds directly to her phone. She could watch me anytime, anywhere. She had been monitoring my movements even when she was at work or visiting her parents. When I confronted Mike about this, he defended himself, saying Andrea had threatened to tell their parents about his gambling debts if he didn't help her. Apparently, he owes over $50,000 to some dangerous people, and Andrea had been helping him hide it from the family. Holly has filed her own police report about the threatening emails. Some of them contained pictures of her leaving her apartment and getting into her car. Others showed her picking up her daughter from school. Andrea must have followed her or had someone else do it. The police are taking it very seriously because some of the emails mentioned Holly's young daughter and implied that something might happen to her if Holly didn't stay away from me. My lawyer says all of this will help with the divorce proceedings. He's building a strong case showing Andrea's pattern of harassment and stalking behavior. Andrea's family is still trying to downplay everything, saying she needs support, not punishment. Her mother called me yesterday crying about how Andrea hasn't been eating properly and keeps talking about how she had to do all this to save our marriage. They're trying to make me feel guilty for pursuing legal action instead of trying to work things out. I feel like I'm living in a nightmare. The person I trusted most turned out to be someone who could violate my privacy so completely. The worst part is that Andrea still doesn't think she did anything wrong. She told her sister that she was just trying to protect what was hers and that any wife would do the same in her situation. She actually believes that installing hidden cameras and stalking Holly was a reasonable response to her suspicions. HR has been surprisingly supportive through all this. They've moved me to a different project team and increased security at the office. Holly is planning to take legal action against Andrea for harassment. Her lawyer is gathering evidence from the emails and building a case. I never thought my marriage would end like this, with restraining orders and police reports. Mike's wife reached out to me yesterday. She was horrified when she found out about Mike's involvement and is now wondering if there are cameras in their house too. She's planning to hire someone to sweep their entire house for surveillance devices. I feel terrible for her. She's another innocent person caught up in this mess. The hardest part is realizing that I spent 6 years of my life with someone and never really knew them. Andrea and I shared everything, our hopes, dreams, plans for the future. We talked about having kids next year. Now I wonder if any of it was real, or if she was always this person capable of such violation of trust. Update 2. I found out some disturbing information about Andrea's past that explains a lot but also makes everything worse. Her ex-boyfriend from college, Tom, 33M, contacted me after hearing about our situation through mutual friends. He revealed that Andrea had done something similar to him 8 years ago. According to Tom, Andrea had installed a tracking device in his car and put spyware on his phone because she thought he was cheating with his study partner in their final year of college. She had accessed all his messages, emails, and even recorded his phone calls. When he confronted her about it, she had a complete meltdown in their apartment, throwing things and threatening to hurt herself. Her family stepped in immediately, helping cover everything up. They convinced him not to press charges and paid for him to move to a different city to complete his studies. After hearing this, I started digging deeper into Andrea's past relationships. I spoke to some of her old friends who had mysteriously drifted away over the years. They told me that Andrea had always been obsessed with controlling her partner's lives. One friend, Amy, admitted that she stopped hanging out with Andrea because she would demand to check her phone to make sure she wasn't messaging me. Andrea had accused Amy of trying to flirt with me at our wedding. The most shocking revelation came from Mike's wife, Lisa. She told me that Andrea had cameras installed in their house too. She had discovered them last year when she was cleaning their home office. There was one hidden in a desk lamp and another in their living room bookshelf. When she confronted Mike about it, he convinced her it was for security because their neighborhood had some break-ins. Now she realizes that Andrea was probably spying on them because she thought Mike was hiding something from her. When I confronted Andrea's parents with all this information, they finally broke down and admitted that she had been in therapy for trust issues during college. The therapist had diagnosed her with severe paranoia and trust issues stemming from her childhood, but they stopped her sessions because they thought she had gotten better after breaking up with Tom. They knew about the incident with Tom but believed that marriage would help her change. The police investigation into Holly's harassment revealed more disturbing details. Andrea had created a detailed spreadsheet tracking Holly's daily schedule for the past 6 months. She had information about Holly's daughter's school timings, her gym routine, her weekly grocery shopping patterns, and even which coffee shop she visited every morning. She had basically been stalking Holly for months, building this elaborate database of her daily life. My lawyer says we have enough evidence to get a quick divorce. The judge has already granted both Holly and me permanent restraining orders against Andrea. Her behavior has become increasingly erratic. Last week, she sent emails to everyone in our company claiming that Holly and I had planned this whole thing to destroy her life. She even created a social media post detailing how I had manipulated her into installing the cameras so I could paint her as the villain. Mike finally broke under the pressure and came clean about everything. He admitted that Andrea had been making him spy on me even before we got married. She would make him follow me when I went out with friends and report back to her. During our dating years, she had him check up on me whenever I said I was working late. He helped her because she had always protected him from their parents' anger over his gambling addiction. The most concerning thing is that Andrea's behavior seems to be getting worse, not better. She's still convinced that she did nothing wrong and that everyone else is conspiring against her. Her parents finally realize the severity of the situation and are trying to get her professional help, but she refuses to accept that she needs it. Update 3. The divorce was finalized yesterday after 3 months of legal battles. The judge was especially harsh with Andrea after seeing all the evidence of her stalking behavior. She's been ordered to undergo psychological evaluation and stay at least 500 feet away from both Holly and me. She's also facing criminal charges for harassment and stalking. Things got messier last week when Andrea showed up at my parents' house unannounced. She tried to convince them that I was making everything up to be with Holly. She had printed out screenshots from our old security cameras, mostly harmless footage of me working late in my home office, trying to prove there was something suspicious about my behavior. My parents, who had initially tried to stay neutral, finally saw her true nature. She had a complete meltdown in their living room, screaming about how she had proof of my affair on the bedroom cameras. My dad had to call the police to remove her from their property. Holly's lawsuit against Andrea is moving forward with strong evidence. Her lawyer presented over 200 threatening emails and dozens of photos proving the stalking. The evidence was overwhelming, including photos of Holly's daughter at school that Andrea had somehow obtained. Holly's lawyer thinks they have a strong case for criminal harassment, and there's talk about adding cyberstalking charges. Mike and Lisa are divorcing too. After discovering the extent of Andrea's control over Mike and how he had helped her spy on multiple people over the years, Lisa couldn't trust him anymore. She found out that Mike had also installed cameras in their bedroom at Andrea's request. He's finally admitted to his gambling addiction and moved back in with his parents. Last I heard, he's cooperating with the police investigation against Andrea to get a lighter sentence for his involvement. Andrea's family has finally stopped defending her actions. Her mother called me last week to apologize. She admitted that they had enabled Andrea's behavior for years by making excuses for her trust issues and paying off people she had harmed. They're finally realizing how serious the situation is, especially with the criminal charges pending. Her father had a heart attack from all the stress and has been asking Andrea to accept professional help. I've moved to a different city and started a new job in another tech company. I couldn't stay in the same place where every security camera made me paranoid. Holly also transferred to a different branch of our company to protect her daughter. The whole experience has taught me that sometimes the people closest to us can be the most dangerous. The police found even more cameras in our old house while helping me move out. There were ones in the living room, kitchen, and even the bathroom. They also discovered a hidden hard drive containing months of recorded footage. I still can't believe I lived like that for months without knowing. The detective handling the case said it was one of the most extensive domestic surveillance setups he'd seen in his 15 years on the force. I'm sharing this final update because I want people to know that this kind of behavior isn't love, it's abuse. Andrea's family kept excusing her actions as love and concern, but there's nothing loving about violating someone's privacy and trust like this. It's been a difficult journey, but I'm finally starting to feel free from all the surveillance and paranoia that had become my daily life. I won't be posting any more updates about this situation. It's time to move forward and leave this chapter of my life behind.